My name is Andrew. I am 83 years old. There was a time in my life when prayer nearly broke my faith, not because I stopped praying, but because I kept praying when God felt far away. I want to speak today about that season, not as a warning meant to scare you, but as an honest reflection from a man who stayed faithful while feeling unheard. When I was younger, prayer felt simple. I prayed and believed answers would come. Maybe not immediately, but clearly. I believed prayer was a conversation where God spoke back in ways you could recognize. As the years passed, that certainty faded. Life became heavier, responsibilities grew, loss arrived, and prayer began to change. I still prayed every day. I bowed my head. I spoke the same words. I kept the same habits. But inside, something felt different. God felt distant. At first, I assumed the distance was my fault. I believed I was doing something wrong, not praying enough, not believing strongly enough, not listening carefully enough. So I tried harder. I prayed longer. I became more disciplined. I corrected my thoughts. I guarded my behavior. I believed that if I could just pray better, God would feel close again. He did not. That silence stayed. Days passed, then months, and slowly, prayer became exhausting. I did not stop believing in God. I stopped expecting to feel Him. That is where the danger began. There's a passage in Scripture that speaks about seeking God and finding Him. I used to read that as a promise of clarity. During this season, it felt like a burden. I was seeking, I was faithful, and yet God felt far away. I did not speak about this to many people. Silence around prayer is difficult to admit. It feels like failure, especially when others speak confidently about hearing God clearly, so I carried it quietly. Prayer became something I did out of duty rather than desire. I showed up even when I felt nothing. I believed that discipline would carry me through what emotion could not. But over time, that approach began to strain my faith. I remember one evening sitting alone with my Bible open and realizing that I felt tired of trying to reach God. Not angry, just tired. That frightened me. Faith should not feel like constant effort, and yet mine did. That was the moment prayer nearly broke my faith, not because God had abandoned me, but because I believed prayer only mattered if it produced a feeling. I did not understand then that prayer changes shape over a lifetime. I believed prayer was meant to feel warm, reassuring, clear. I did not know that prayer could also be dry, quiet, steady, and still faithful. During that season, I learned something slowly. God does not withdraw when silence comes. Sometimes He teaches us to remain without reassurance. That lesson took time. I stopped trying to force prayer to feel a certain way. I stopped measuring prayer by emotion. I allowed prayer to become simple again. Some days prayer was just sitting quietly. Some days it was a single sentence spoken without expectation. Some days it was simply showing up. What surprised me was this. Faith did not disappear during silence. It deepened. I began to notice that even though God felt far away, my life was still being steadied. I was still being guided away from bitterness. I was still being shaped into patience. I was still learning restraint where frustration once lived. God was working beneath the surface. There is a verse that speaks about walking by faith and not by sight. I had always applied that to circumstances. I did not realize it also applied to prayer. Walking by faith sometimes means praying without feeling God's presence, trusting that He hears even when you cannot sense Him. That understanding saved my faith. Prayer stopped being about receiving. It became about remaining faithful, remaining honest, remaining open even when silence lingered. Looking back now, I see how easily my faith could have broken. If I had stopped praying because God felt far away, if I had assumed silence meant absence, if I had believed faith only worked when it felt rewarding. What nearly broke my faith was not God's silence. It was my misunderstanding of it. Today, my prayer life is quieter, slower, less ambitious, and more real. I no longer demand answers. I trust presence. I no longer expect prayer to change circumstances quickly. I allow it to change me gently. God feels near now, not because He suddenly became louder, but because I learned to listen differently. If you are praying and God feels far away, I want you to know this. Silence does not mean failure. Distance does not mean abandonment. Dry prayer is still prayer. Do not stop praying because it feels empty. Do not measure faith by emotion. Do not assume God has left because you cannot feel him. Prayer nearly broke my faith because I misunderstood its purpose. Once I understood that prayer is about staying rather than receiving, faith became steadier than it had ever been. God remains faithful through silence, and faith that survives quiet seasons is strong faith. Before I finish, I want to leave you with a simple blessing. May the Lord meet you even when you feel unheard. May he steady you when prayer feels heavy. May you remain faithful through silence, and may you discover that God is closer than you think. Thank you for listening. I am grateful to share this with you, and if you return again, you will always be welcome here.